Hello, and welcome to Silicon Valley Girls Chat Over Tea. I'm Gloria,
And I'm Rosetta.
and thank you so much for joining us yet once again. And as always, we like to come in the spirit of joy and kindness and love and peace and compassion. And if that sounds like a place you want to go, we invite you to join us today.
Yep, thank you so much. And welcome everyone back. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, and we love your support. Don't forget, after you've watched this video, we hope you watch it all the way to the end. If you like to hit that thumb icon, and how about consider subscribing to our channel? And if you want to get notifications when you can view our chat, you hit that bell notification. Okay, so we're Silicon Valley Girls Chat Over Tea. So today we are drinking a different kind of tea because it is a loose leaf tea, and the company is called Birdsong.
Yes.
And the lady is a husband and wife team, but the wife is called Badvika.
Badvika.
I hope I'm saying it right. Badvika. But I'll put the information down below. But the company it's local because they're in Dublin.
Oh, nice.
And it's called Birdsong.
Yes.
And Gloria is going to read you what we're drinking today.
So today the flavor that we're trying is the Midnight Rosefinch. And that's really cute because whenever I hear a finch, I think of those little finch birds.
Yes, I think that's probably what it is.
Yes.
Because her company is called Birdsong.
Yes, so Rosefinch. And this is a jasmine tea with rose and orange. The ingredients are organic jasmine green tea, organic rose hips, organic rose petals, organic orange pieces, and natural essence. Cute, very, very cute.
Yes, these are the sample packets that she gave us, and we're very excited to try it out.
Yes, and because it's a loose leaf, we have these little bubbles, which you will see, and we've been bouncing them up, and now we're going to...
And it gives, what's really nice, it tells you, like on a postcard, the types of tea and how much you should put of the loose leaf tea. In, like for a cup, you should put 1 teaspoon, but we usually have less than a cup, so we put less than a teaspoon. So we're going to see if we can taste, but it smells very good. Even
the
before,
package smells really good.
Yeah, even before we put them in our little holders there.
It still smells good.
Smells, I like it because you can smell the orange, you can smell the rose.
So,
very
cheers.
good. Excited to try it.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's really good.
And you know what I really like is you can see
the
particles.
So you know what I'm thinking of doing is, because I like my tea a bit stronger, next time I'm going to add a bit more.
Yes.
Because even though we added a bit less, it still tastes pretty good. You can taste all the different parts of the ingredients in there. And they have all these different blends that they make up themselves and put together. And again, I said I'll put the information down below so you can check them out and hopefully give them some love if you like tea as much as we do.
Yes. All right. So, as we get ready with our chat, we always start by sending our love out to the universe, our love and our prayers. If you're a human being, you know times are changing, and we have to learn how to coexist. You know, I had a little problem a few weeks ago where I thought I was going to be eaten alive by ants. I've never seen, it had to be thousands of ants because it was just like a dark blanket.
Oh, scary.
And my ministers always, just tell them to go outside. And I'm like, I'm telling them, but they're not going outside. So it's learning how to coexist. And that's something that we really, really want to work on. And we want to share tips as we find them of things that we can do. So we want to always come at things from a positive perspective. So the first thing we're going to do today, before we get deep into our chat, is we want to acknowledge the passing of James Earl Jones. You would have to be, I don't know who you could be and not recognize the name or the voice. His voice was so unique and so distinctive. I loved him in Field of Dreams. I love that movie. Star Wars. He was Darth Vader.
Yes.
He was the voice of Darth Vader. I don't know how Star Wars can continue without that breathing sound of James Earl Jones. There are other people who can replicate voices, so I'm sure Disney will come up with something. But just amazing, The Lion King, And I loved how when Whoopi was there and she would go Mustafa, and she would tremble, So Coming to America, where he was the king, he was Eddie Murphy's dad, and he wanted his son to pick a bride.
That's whenever I say that name, I always remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He also, you might not know this, but in 1968, he won a Tony for the play The Great White Hope. And it was on Broadway. And I'm like, I didn't know that. And he was on the Broadway play Fences. So his scope of work was more than just being an actor. So he passed away at the young age of 93. And we hope that his family loves the memories that he left behind for them all. Because it's kind of hard to find a good movie and not find James Earl Jones. So our thoughts and prayers are out to the family, and we hope that everything's going to be okay. Today is an infamous day. Today is September 11th. Do you remember what you were doing on September 11th, 2001? I know where I was. I know what I was doing. I know what I did all day long. I remember every component of my sister calling me and saying, "Wake up, some idiot just hit one of the towers." And we're talking, watching television, and the second plane comes around and plows into the building. At that point, we knew the first one was not an accident. This was intention, and the United States was under attack. Every year on this date in New York, they have a ceremony in which they announce every individual that lost their life that day, their name. There were 2,977 lost souls that day. And today, President Biden and Vice President Harris was in attendance of the event. It's a time, because it was sad, it's a time where I remember Americans came together as Americans.
Yes, they did.
There was no us versus them. There was no red versus blue. We were all together.
Yep, exactly.
And, as we're always talking, because I saw a lady, apparently there is a museum to, I guess, honor this whole event. There are young people who were not even born.
I know.
And so they don't know of it as we do. We were like, we felt like we were there. To them, it's a part of history. So the parents were taking their children to the museum so that they could educate them on what that was like. And in our attempt to always be forthcoming with our children and educating them, this kind of ties into yesterday. Last night was the very first presidential debate. Did you watch? What'd you think? Did it change your vision at all? Did it give you any moments to pause, or was it just status quo? Did you feel like, oh, been there, done that, heard it before? For me, the most impactful initial moment was when Vice President Kamala Harris walked across the stage, extended her hand, and said, "Kamala Harris." So now he can call her Kamala because she has introduced herself to him.
That was very, very well thought out
Very.
on her behalf, because you could tell that from that moment on, she was already she had planned everything.
Yes.
And that
The
was,
gloves
it
were
started off strong, and you knew what was to come. So yeah, I really like that. And the fact that he wasn't going to because he just stayed behind
Yes,
his podium.
he didn't like, go to meet her half and half. He just stood there. And then when she extended her hand, he shook her hand, and then she announced Kamala Harris.
And he didn't say anything.
No, what could you say?
He didn't say anything. He wasn't happy. He wasn't,
So
he was just
now
very
all of his
solemn.
followers should know the proper pronunciation of her name is Kamala Harris, not Kamala. Even though her nieces tried to educate the world on how to properly pronounce
her name.
Yes.
They did a pretty good job, but
Yes.
not for everyone.
Absolutely. So that kind of kicked the night off. It was on ABC, was the primary, I guess you say, channel that carried the debate. However, it was telecast across many different venues. When they started, I was really excited because they put what the caveat for the debate. They wanted it to be respectful. If you weren't answering a question, your mic would be muted. If you went above and beyond your scope of time, the mic would be muted. They forgot that part. I mean, both of them had a point during the debate where they kind of talked over each other. So that one, if there's ever another debate, everyone should learn. Be authentic. If you say, you saw the clock was huge. If you've got a huge clock, they can see when it says 5, 4, 3, 2. And as a person, I see 5, I start wrapping it up. So when it gets to 2, I'm done. That's something they could have done a little bit better. ABC could have done a little bit better. The other thing is the President of the United States 2024 is President Biden, and they kept calling the former president Mr. President, and maybe that's something I couldn't figure out why they kept calling him that. Kamala Harris on the other side, she would say former president.
Right.
So titles mean a lot, because if you are not knowledgeable, or if you believe that the presidency was stolen, having the anchors authenticate his name as Mr. President, that could have been a little confusing. So I think they could have, those little things, I think, would just make it a little bit clearer to the American people.
I believe, yes, exactly what Gloria said. And I didn't understand why they kept saying the president, because he's not.
No.
But they kept saying former vice president. So, sorry, the current vice president. Yes. So, that was just odd to me, but that was just very strange.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to
Oh, you want me to go through all my stuff? I thought we just kind of talk about it, because
okay, we'll just kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
So coming into this, I was very excited, because I already knew what kind of way the debate was going to go, because they were all saying prior to the debate that Kamala Harris was prepping, and she was gearing herself up for this debate, whereas on the other hand, Donald Trump was not prepping for it.
Right. Well, he was still on the campaign journey.
Well, yeah, he was still on the campaign journey, whereas Tim Walz was doing the campaign journey for Kamala.
Yeah.
So that she was ready, rearing to go, and did she bring it? I'm telling you. She was, the way that she directed or she led this debate was very clever, because I couldn't do this myself, but she knew, I don't know if she did it or her staff helped her, but she was able to bait him in a lot of her side of what she was saying. Every time she had the mic, she ended it off by baiting him.
Yes.
And he fell for the bait every single time.
Yes.
Which was a good thing, because that's what she wanted. But for him, it didn't make him look good, because he fell for the baits. So she really did her homework. And I loved the fact that this overall debate was, for me, it showed the difference between Kamala talking about what she's going to do for the country
Yes.
moving forward, what kind of policies and changes she's going to have, and she has plans. Whereas if you saw Donald Trump, he was just trying to defend himself and accuse the other opponent, and he was just very spiteful. But he never said, what if he became president, what is he going to do for the country?
Right.
So that was the overall image I got was,
And a lot of the me,
Yes.
me, I.
yes. And
He never said us.
Yep.
He never said we. It was me. I did this. I.
Yeah. So he's again, once again, it's all about being self-serving, whereas Kamala was all about how can we, if we get into the office, help you,
Yes.
help the people that are in this country,
Yes.
not just about myself.
Yes.
So that's what I really liked about her. And she's always shown that. Even at the DNC, she was all about how we could help the country
Yes.
and what this country is about and the freedoms. And I just was joyful in the fact that she stood up for herself and talked about some key points that I really liked in regards to Roe v. Wade.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that she put Donald Trump in his place in regards to how can people make decisions for women on their body,
Yes.
right? And she
Right.
said, how can we, if you have like a 13-year-old
Yes.
who maybe has been like sexually molested,
Yes.
how can you expect her to raise a child?
Yes. To bear and raise the child.
Right, exactly.
And I also love the fact that she brought up the point that it is now criminal for a doctor to want to take care of a patient who is in the car losing a baby and bleeding out, but they're afraid to help her because they could be sued.
Or sent to jail.
Yes, for taking actions to save a life. You know, the Hippocratic oath is for them to do no harm. So I don't know if you've noticed, sort of sidebar, a lot of doctors are retiring and quitting because they refuse to not be able to give their patients the best care. So you would have to just not have been a female when she laid out that point that as a woman, for someone to think that they can make better choices about you and your life than you can.
Yeah, that was very, very telling of
Yes.
how she's going to represent the women. We as women, we need representation in the government
Yes.
from strong leaders like Kamala Harris.
Yes.
We really do, because right now, we're having people like who voted, like
Yeah.
the few people were older men,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really affect them, which is why I think Donald Trump doesn't really understand, because it doesn't affect him.
Right.
Because anything that decisions he make has to affect him
Yes.
for it to go in his direction.
And I don't even think, which is very sad, I know he loves his daughter. I know he loves her so much that he said that if he wasn't her father, he would date her. And I have thought many times, how would you feel if someone raped your child? Would you want her to have to bear the child of a rapist? Or would you want the doctors to do the best that they could to help Ivanka so that she would have a good, productive life? But I don't know, even something as serious as that, I don't know if he could come out of me mode
I don't even think so.
to be a father to her.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's a very, to be honest, he's a very selfish man. But we're gonna, not
Yes.
dig too deep. But the other thing I loved about the debate was that it was very telling when Harris was speaking, and every time she was trying to say something about Donald Trump, she would look at him.
Yes. And he would
But
not
the
look.
whole time, throughout the whole debate, not one time did he look at her.
Yeah.
Not one time.
I mean, and I've been trying to figure out why not. You know, of course, people are trying to second guess. Well, is it because she's a woman? Is it because she's a black woman? Is it because she's a biracial woman? And I'm like, I just don't, I don't know what it is.
I think it's because he knew that he wasn't in a good position to defend himself. Everything that she threw at him, he knew. Because you could
Right.
tell from his eyes
Right.
and the way that he winced and the way that he was making the snug smiles and things like that,
Yeah.
that he wasn't liking what she was saying
Oh,
to him.
no. He was not happy. Trust me. I know he was not happy. And there was a point where she would, you know, I call it queuing it up. So she would cue him up by saying something. So one time, you know, she was talking about him and, you know, what matters to him. And she says, like his rallies. He's always trying to inflate his rally count. And then she talked about the fact that at his rallies, they leave early.
Yeah.
Woo! You would have thought she had sworn against his life. He was so upset about that. And he was like, nobody ever leaves my rallies early. My rallies are perfect. My rallies. And so that's what I mean by she would cue him up and then she'd just stand there.
Yeah, she baited him and he grabbed the bait.
And she would just stand there and just let him twirl. And he would just, I'm like, I've seen what it was like to watch the RNC where you spoke for 92 minutes plus. If you're out somewhere and it's 100 degrees, you might leave early. Whether you love him or not, it could be a number of things. However, to say nobody ever leaves my, you know, rallies early, that's not really a fair statement.
It's not. And what did Kamala say that surprised me? She brought it up. She said it. The first one to say it. And you were fired by 81 million people.
Yes.
And you should have seen his face. He did not like that.
Well, he was not expecting her to say anything like that to begin with. And I think that he was just so caught off guard.
Yeah, she said a lot. To be honest, she said a lot, and we could touch at every single point.
Yes.
But what I thought was she was brilliant because she had done her research. She knew what she was doing. She knew how to bait him. She knew how to touch his weaknesses.
Yes.
And I saw a interview with Tim Walz after the fact, and he said that she was just amazing. She did everything. She talks about them and real issues, he said. And he kind of said, you saw he's 80 years old. I thought that Donald Trump was 78
I think he's 78, and he doesn't turn 80 to mid, you know, because they kept saying he was against Biden, and they're like, if you become president, you're going to be 80 in the White House too. What's the difference?
Right.
Yes.
So Tim Walz said, there you see an 80-year-old narcissist. And when he was talking, I thought, what a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, something switched, and I saw that in him, because a narcissist is someone who never takes responsibility for their actions or what they say. They always are on the blame someone else. And we saw that a lot during the debate. A lot.
You know, talking about, there were, like you said, there were certain points. So they're talking about the war in Ukraine. And David Muir is trying to get him to say, well, what would you do? And he's like, well, I would stop the war. I never would have let the war get to this point. I would have, you know, stopped Putin. And I'm thinking to myself, do you honestly think you can stop Putin from doing anything he wants to do? On one hand, he would say, I am totally responsible for the elimination of Roe v. Wade. And then on another hand, he would say, I am going to support women through IVF. I'm going to make the insurance companies pay. Okay, that's not going to happen because it's $40,000 a pop. So when Vice President Harris pushed on that topic, once again, Trump cycles. You can almost see his mind just spinning, trying to figure out, well, what do I say? And he would always change the subject. If they asked him a direct question, he wouldn't answer it. He would go all through the valley, up through the mountains, around the snow, down through the hills.
And then it would always come back to, isn't it shocking? Always come back to the immigrants.
Yes.
Everything reverted back to the immigrants at the end. We would be talking about women's rights, Roe versus Wade. We're talking about other things, and then everything would come back to, he wouldn't answer the question directly.
No.
He would not. And what is scary is that if Kamala Harris wins, you know that Trump is not going to concede.
Well, he hasn't conceded from President Biden.
Yeah, he hasn't.
3.5 years.
But it's gonna, all hell is gonna break loose if he doesn't win.
Well, he keeps talking about this bloodbath, and
that's scary. When someone says that, what does that mean? That's very scary.
Well, not only does he say bloodbath, he says World War III. So it's like he's going to engage a certain component of America to fight against America. Now, the bad thing is that we are American citizens and we have laws and rules and guidelines. However, don't lose your mind. We have a military that can come and take care of business at home just like they do when they are deployed out into the world. Do not start taking actions based on what somebody says you should do. I understand that, like Vice President Harris brought up Project 2025. And of course he said, I don't know nothing about that.
I know nothing about that.
Of course he does. Of course he does. The thing is, we can't have people just running around. January 6th, I don't think under President Biden or the new presidents, I don't think that Vice President Harris or President Biden would allow people to just run rampant like they did before.
I have to repeat what I had heard Kamala Harris say. And this is word for word because I wrote it down. I was at the Capitol on January the 6th, she says.
Mm-hmm.
I was the vice president-elect, so an acting senator, so I was there on that day. The President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack the Capitol. To desecrate our nation's capital on that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured and some died. And understand the former president has been indicted and impeached for that reason. This is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there are a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? I couldn't quite make out what she had said on that one word.
He said there are good people on both sides.
There were good people on both sides.
That's what I'll never forget that. I thought, really?
Really. And then she said, let's remember when it came to the Proud Boys.
Yes.
A militia, the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by.
That's right.
So if everyone watching and remembers what January the 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page.
Yes.
And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in my campaign for you. So that's what she said.
Yes. One of the times that she really got him excited was when she said she had talked to military individuals who said that he was deplorable as a leader. There's it's either 100 or 200 Republicans that have signed off that they will support her as president of the United States. And for him to have to stand and listen to someone say basically, you were a horrible president, even though in your mind you think you were a great president.
And she even said some of the world leaders are laughing at you.
Yes.
And said that you're a disgrace.
And they're excited if you win because they can play you like a puppet because they know you can be bought.
Yeah.
What a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, and the fact that he said he doesn't have a plan, he has the concept
Yes.
of a plan. When
Yes.
they asked him, "Do you have a plan?" He said, "I have the concept." What does that even mean? The concept.
I know. That means he doesn't have a plan. Because trust me, when you have a plan, even if it's just a template, you can still talk to your plan. My intention is to do this.
That's what I realized between him and Kamala Harris. She always said, "This is what I'm going to do.
Right.
This is where I stand. This is what I'm going to do moving forward." She always knew exactly what she was going to do if she gets voted into the White House.
And she had to walk a fine line as being the existing vice president and being a candidate for the presidency of the United States. So at one point, he says, "Oh, I heard everything you said, and if you're going to do it, why haven't you done it? You've been there for 3.5 years." So, former President Trump, let me hip you to something. When someone is the leader, they're the ones that makes the calls. If you are a subordinate, you do what they tell you. You follow the focus of the leader. She can't jump up and make changes of things the way she would want to do them until she is the president. So she did not want to say anything that could be perceived as derogatory against President Biden. However, she was like, Joe Biden is the president, and that is the direction that we're going under. And the fact that her and Joe Biden they returned us to NATO, and we now have supportive countries to the United States that if we had a problem, they would come to our rescue. And that's something that you have to learn. And most of us were taught that when we were toddlers. You know, they put you in the sandbox with other kids and you had to learn how to play nice together. You have to learn how to cooperate together. So, sorry you didn't get that lesson.
Yeah. So this whole debate, and you know, people are saying this, and I 100% agree. We really don't need another debate.
No.
There's nothing to. What's going to change? I really don't know. It's not going to be either. We're going to find out that she's even more like brilliant than she is,
right?
Or we don't know. Or he might come out swinging. We don't know. That from that debate there needs to be no other debate.
Well, when he said the part about the immigrants killing and eating
the Haitians,
the pets, you know,
in Springfield, Ohio,
they are eating the cats and dogs, and the citizens came right out and said there's nothing that says that is a true statement. You know, even when the anchors attempted to say President, because they kept calling him, so I would say former President Trump, that is not a true statement. That is not correct.
I like the fact that they always try to do the fact checking, especially David Muir.
Yes.
He was very good at doing his fact checking because he said something like when he lost the last president election, he said that. He said, "Oh, I lost by a whisper or something."
Yes.
And then he was saying that he only said that. He didn't mean what he said or something. And David Muir did his fact check and said, "Well, I saw back that video and you didn't seem like whatever. I forget exactly what it was, but it didn't sound like that."
Yeah.
And they would. I liked even though David Muir and Lindsay Davis got a lot of like bad feedback as being, you know, the mediators of this debate. I liked the questions that they asked.
Yes.
The only thing I would have liked is that they would have stuck to, like, if we're gonna have the mics off, have them off.
Yes. That I really would have appreciated them sticking to, because there were times when, you know, they would both talk, and I remember at one point Kamala Harris said something and he goes like, "Be quiet," something like that, and I thought, ooh.
Or he said something like, "There you go again," or something weird, or "At it again," or something.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. So, all in all, I think it was a very good, insightful debate. Now, people are saying it didn't make a difference, it didn't change their minds. They are happy and content with whoever they were planning to vote for. However, there were some people that they did interviews with, and some people decided, I think I've changed my mind.
Yeah, yeah. And we know that Kamala Harris has done her job at this debate. Now it's time for everyone else in the United States to do their job and do some more research if you have not decided from the debate. And someone said, oh, it was Taylor Swift who put that post out.
Yes.
And she said, for those of you who are first-time voters, you can only vote if you register.
Thank you.
So you have to register.
Yes.
And you need to do your research.
Yes.
As everybody needs to do their research.
Yes. Because some places are already started the preliminary absentee ballots. So some people are already voting. So do your research. You know, you have a question, post it. You know, if we know the answer, we can, help you find the answer. But I think the great job that Kamala Harris did during the debate, and then to have Taylor Swift come right out behind. Of course, they came out and said, Taylor, you can kiss your millions of country followers goodbye. I don't think she's got 328 million followers. I think she'll be okay.
I checked this morning, and she already had 4 point some odd million people that had liked her post.
Yeah.
So it's odd because it's Taylor Swift. It's like a celebrity, but she has more clout.
Yeah.
In this whole thing, when she says something, people listen. So hopefully,
yeah, people are paying attention. So as things continue, because this is a direct correlation to our children's future, we will keep you updated. And like Whoopi always says, it is not about them, it is about us. And if we show up and vote, and we vote for a positive influence, a positive individual that is for all people of the United States.
And someone that makes sense.
Yes.
You've got to have someone who's looking out for the people of their country.
Yes. No more cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That moment is gone, and we should all be over it. Okay? All right. So, as you know, I love football. I'm so excited. Football is alive. Yeah. The new season is going. The teams were playing, and unfortunately, I am a DirecTV subscriber, and DirecTV and Disney are in conflict. So every channel that I would try and watch a game on, you get this little box that says they're in contract negotiations.
Oh, no.
Yes.
So did you get to watch anything?
Well, what we found is YouTube. I love YouTube. Might not be able to see it live, but I can see it after. So we've been doing some workarounds. Now, Sunday is typically the big Sunday morning from 10 a.m. until sometimes 8 p.m. Football, different games. So considering the fact we just got through talking about the possible election of a black, I'm trying to say, she is a multifaceted because she is of Asian descent and of black descent. So I love that. She's her own little melting pot. So you would think in 2024 times were better. So there's a young man, and his name is Tyreek Hill, and he plays with the Miami Dolphins. And he was pulled over on his way to a game on Sunday. And the police said that he was driving erratic, like he was speeding, going around cars. And I don't know the model, but it looked like a fancy car, like a Maserati or something like that.
I think it was a Lamborghini.
Yes,
a black Lamborghini.
Yes, it was a nice car. So they pulled him out, because he was tapping on the window, and he goes, "Hey man, don't tap on my window." He goes, roll the window down. So he rolls the window down. He's yelling at him, so he rolls the window back up. Roll the window down. So long story short, they take him out and they throw him on the ground. They have no idea who they are throwing around. That is a member of their football team that they're treating like poo-poo. So one of the other football players on the team is driving by, sees the altercation, goes to try and say, wait a minute, do you know who that is? But they don't care. And so then they handcuff him. Now, when you see Tyreek getting back in his car after this incident, his manager is on site and he's going to drive him to the stadium for the game. Because he was on his way just to play a game. And it's called the Miami Hard Rock Stadium. As the manager is leaving, he goes, oh, this will be investigated because there's just no reason for this. This young man has done nothing wrong. He didn't want them to throw him on the ground. He's recovering from knee surgery. He goes out after all of this, plays, and scores a touchdown. When are we going to get to the point that we can stop treating black men like they're just, all of them are crooks? Everybody's a crook. If you got brown, black skin, you got to be doing something wrong. What happened to the day when the police officers would say, you know, you're driving a little sporadic, what's up? And then the person says, officer, I'm really, really sorry. I was supposed to check in 20 minutes ago. And if I don't get my butt in that stadium, I don't get to play today. Back in the day, the police would have said, I got you. Follow me. They would have guided him there. It wouldn't have been an altercation. When I was a child, police officers were nice. They would say, good morning, how you doing? It wasn't about throwing you on the ground, handcuffing you, or treating you like a piece of poo-poo.
Sometimes I think, and it's not sometimes, a lot of times, I think that policemen kind of feel that they have the right to act the way they do because they feel they're in law enforcement and it's okay to do what they do.
They're entitled.
Because they're entitled. Because I've noticed that a lot of policemen, when they want to go somewhere or get somewhere, I've noticed that they'll just turn on their sirens.
Yes.
For no reason.
Make in the right-hand lane, hit the lights, make an illegal U-turn, and turn the lights off.
Yeah, and I don't even know why they're doing it. They just want to prove I'm a policeman. I have the right to do whatever I want whenever I want because you have to all bow down to me because I'm a policeman. You just respect the law enforcement. And I think that we're all humans.
Mm-hmm.
We all deserve respect. And I think something has to be done.
Yeah.
Really has to be done. Stop profiling.
Yes.
Something that you were saying, like if Kamala Harris becomes our next president, hopefully she can, put something in place.
Yeah, that says be careful who you throw down because, we always make it a joke. All black people are relatives because if my best friends that I grew up with are my sisters. They're not friends because I love them just like my sister. I love them like my family. When they call, if it's within my means, I'm going to do it. That's how we love. We love deep. And it would be awesome if having more people in high positions say to the police as a whole, stop profiling because you're going to lose your job. You're going to get fired because you're going to do this to the wrong person.
Well, look what happened to George Floyd during COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that poor man kept saying, I cannot breathe. And when he screamed for his mom,
that was the saddest thing to see.
Yes.
That really was.
And
to hear.
When you hear somebody talk about how long somebody's knee was on their neck, during the service, they actually did a countdown of how long that was. And my husband and I were standing and we're watching and he looks at me and he goes, oh my God. I mean, it's a long time. So we have to figure out how to not do that. Tyreek, I think you are an amazing young man because you know what he said? Because he He never said you know, filthy poo-poos, you stupid nothing. He was very quiet. And what he said after the game in which they won, he said, you know, for me, the scary point is, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill, Miami Dolphin? What if I was just a plain black guy and no one came to my rescue? Because we all know he could have been shot.
Well, what if he was? Because there are so many incidents that happen throughout our nation.
Yeah.
And we don't hear of it. We heard of this one because he was
Yeah.
someone with some stature.
Yeah.
But so many like black men
Yeah.
get pulled over and horrible things are done to them and we don't
Yeah.
hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So,
just another one of those incidents.
and we can't have our senior leader be someone that will tolerate this kind of behavior. You know, we've had 4 years of cray-cray. I don't know about you, I'm tired. I want us to go back to being the United States of America, for us to collaborate and work together to resolve our problems. And I promise you, if the former president was to win and they implemented Project 2025, it is to keep the rich smart and to dumb down the poor people. So if you're not a billionaire, you should pay a lot of attention and make sure your vote counts.
Yes.
Okay?
And make sure for parents that your children are registered to vote.
Yes. And if they are going away to school, make sure that absentee ballot is going to follow them so that they can complete it and mail it back.
And my son can vote in his very first presidential election this year. And I said, because we do absentee ballots.
Yes.
So I said, when we get our ballots, we're going to sit down and we're going to do it all together.
That's right.
So we can teach him all the different people, all the different
and how to read the propositions and what do they mean and who's funding. Because, you know, sometimes you'll hear increase school education department by $1 billion and you're like, oh yeah, that's going to work. You have to read, because you'll start reading and there's nothing about education in that proposition.
They word it in such a way that is very misleading.
Yes.
And they want you to say yes, but really what we want to say is no.
Yeah.
Or they want you to say no, but we really want to say yes.
Yes.
So I like to actually, if you're a woman out there, I like to look at the decisions that the women voters make as well, what they say about it and what they're voting and the reasons behind it.
Yes. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and let's put a person into the White House that's going to shift America to be the greatest it has always been. So, quick note, Princess Kate put out a video letting the UK know that she's going to go back to her royal duties. She has completed her chemotherapy and radiation treatments. And even though she's done, it's going to take a moment. And she wanted a lot of other women who are going through the same set of circumstances to know that she's with them. And she knows. You know, it's like when you may think something is a certain way. However, when you walk that path, you know it.
It's completely different.
Yes. And now she knows what that path is. And, you know, the most important thing when you're going through cancer is you have to shift. You have to shift internal and external. And hopefully, you know, because we've heard all the stories in the past, hopefully things are going to be better.
And she looks very good.
Yes.
She does.
And the kids look happy, you know. So that's how you can tell because if mommy doesn't feel good, the kids don't normally feel good.
Right.
And they were happy, frolicking. So you can, you know, go online and you can just Google Princess Kate, and I'm sure the video
will come up because it shows it, because I went there and did that search, and you can see what pops up.
So last week we talked a little bit because it was fresh. There had been a shooting at the Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia. They were trying to figure out what was going on. We were hearing all kinds of counts of numbers. It turned out that a young man, Colt Gary, 14 years old, baby, killed 2 of his schoolmates and 2 teachers, and injured 7 other individuals that sustained injuries, but they were not life-threatening, and they were all, the remaining 7 were expected to survive. The fact that Georgia's not playing. So in addition to Colt being charged with 4 counts of murder, his dad is also going to be charged, because there was a situation, the FBI went to check it out. They out and outright just kind of lied. No, there's no issue here. Nope, there's nothing going with school. Everything's fine. If he did anything, I would know about it, and then there'd be consequences. And he bought his son a gun for Christmas. If you already have the FBI come into your house saying there's been some conversations at school, why would you give your child a gun?
And you see video of past times where he's gone hunting with his son.
Yes.
And he's very proud of his son when his son shoots his first deer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at that like, how can you be proud of he's 14 years old.
Yeah.
So when you're doing this is like being a mentor for your child.
Yeah.
You are leading by example. So you're saying it's okay.
Yeah.
To go out there, hunt and shoot. I'm very proud of him. And he goes, yes, kneel down by by the deer and put your gun on the deer. And this is a deer that's already dead. And I'm like, we don't need to be seeing that. He does not need to be like boasting about having shot a deer.
I mean, any animal that's bleeding mutes a certain smell too. Why are you having your child all into that? I mean, it was horrible. And even more horrible, if you sit in front of your computer and you go to Google and you type SHO.
SCH.
Well, you can even just, because shooting is SHOOTING.
Oh, I just put SC, and the first 2 letters of school.
Oh.
And it came up school shooting.
Yeah, well, I put shooting, SHO, and
okay.
I got shooting in Georgia, shooting in San Jose, where we live, shooting in Santa Clara, where we are today, shooting in Texas, SHO could be Showtime at the Apollo. I mean, for it to
could
be
be
the
anything.
default,
It could be Shallow How. It could be, yes.
But for that to be the automatic tick for a search engine to do, that's not good, people. That is not good, and that's why
there's enough. I think there's enough people Googling.
Yes.
That it just comes up. It's just by default that it comes up, but it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Because there needs to be a lot of people trying to do a search for that, and that's not good. That's why you get these young kids. They can find anything and everything online nowadays. Right.
And like we've had conversations. I'm sorry if I, as a printer manufacturer, realized that people could use my printers to make ghost guns, they wouldn't be making them no more. I wouldn't be making those printers anymore.
Yeah.
So we all have to kind of step up and realize there's just so much that we as adults have kind of, set our children up on a bad path. I have a friend, and they're gun-toting people, and so they bought their child a gun, a baby a gun. He was under 10, a gun.
It's really sad because they showed, like a couple of weeks ago, it was after the shooting, they showed that in some states they have like Christmas pictures of the whole family holding up guns in front of their Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Loud and proud.
Well, Georgia is a no license required state, so a toddler could carry a gun there and there's nothing anybody could say.
Yeah. I don't know, it just amazes me.
Yes.
Just the things that can happen. I know that not all families are going to have murderers and people
All that.
shooting, but where there's guns, there's always a chance that this
Yeah.
could happen. So
Yeah.
I just don't understand why parents are loud and proud about this.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I think if parents would start telling their children, you have to get along, and making them get along, and maybe like we were talking about, find a phone that they can talk on and they can text on. They can't get on social media, and take some of that rhetoric out of their lives, and see if they won't become happier, more productive kids.
Well, talking about phones, that they can only do that. Did you know that there are flip phones now?
Mhm.
Barbie phones. Have
Yes.
you seen that?
Yes, we
That-
talked about
Oh,
that.
we did talk about that. But
Yeah.
they went on, because I recently saw something else, and they said there are phones now, and the kids are loving the flip phones.
Yes, because I mean, even though on one hand you want to know what's going on, it is tiresome to always want to know what's going on.
And to always want to keep up with the
Yes,
Joneses.
yes,
Or the influencers. They do this and that,
Yes.
and you're wearing this and that, and look
Yes.
skinny, to wear makeup, to have this certain image. More so for women than
Yes.
there are boys, but boys do have
oh
influences
yeah,
as well.
yeah, they got their things, but yeah, more of the girls are just
They feel they have to live up to this certain standard.
yeah. So the weather, kind of status quo, is getting a little bit more serious because it is hurricane season. So now we're at Hurricane Francine. Francine she's already, it's on the Gulf course, and the Gulf Coast is right underneath, like Louisiana, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So Texas is full of water. Now it's moving on to New Orleans. And remember, New Orleans, because it is surrounded by water, it has the tendency to have major flooding. So between 3 p.m. today and 11 p.m. Central Time, New Orleans is expected to hit some massive flooding. So
It's already there.
yeah, so
It's 6 o'clock now.
Yes, it's 6:09 there. So they're in the heart of this. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them. Here in California, where we are being plagued by fires, extreme fires and heat, triple digits in Southern California. We have one of the fires is the what is it? There's two. There's one that's near the airport, and the bad thing about these fires is that when they start jumping roads. So if it's on one side of the road, it's detrimental, but all the houses are across the street. But if it jumps, so there are fires where there are minimal loss of personal property. It's just the forests themselves. And now the fires are starting to hop. There's a fire now between Reno and Tahoe near the Carson City area. So these fires are just everywhere. And most of them, you're not going to believe this, most of them are accidents. People doing something and oops, it's just too dry. So now's not the time to go camping. Now's not the time to start a fire because you're cold. You have to be a little bit more careful. And the people in New Orleans, do not drive in sitting water. Just don't do it because it's too dangerous. Very, very dangerous. So we've had a lot to talk about, and we're going to continue to talk about things because we are 50, how many days are we to the election? No, I think we're still like 70 something.
We are, we're in September now. September,
Right.
October, November.
December.
Well,
So
it's in
probably like
November. November the 5th is the actual day.
So it's like October, so that's 30. So yeah.
We're less than 60 days. I mean, less than 60 days away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
do your research, be prepared. You don't have to tell anybody who you vote for. So you can tell people, you can go somewhere and they're all Republican. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to vote. You don't have to say you're not going to vote for their
But
candidate.
back in the days, people they always used to keep it
Never.
a secret. And now
Yeah.
it's like people don't mind.
Yeah,
telling
well, it's like a
people.
badge of honor, but then people start to fight.
Yeah.
So we don't want to fight. We want to have peace. That is what is most important. So we normally do our tips of the day, but we have given you a lot of information to think about. So we're going to just kind of let that sit. My name's Gloria Webb-Williams. My company is Ancient Stones Nurture Natural. I'm an all-natural mineral makeup manufacturer right here in Santa Clara, California. And my buddy is
Rosetta Chow. I'm certified health coach, educator, and I love speaking because I like to educate. That's so important. Knowledge is power, and your health matters.
Yes. We will actually be at an event on Thursday if you're in the local Bay
Tomorrow.
area. That's right. It's only one.
Santa Clara
Yes.
and the surrounding cities.
Yes. We're at 3310 Woodward Avenue in Santa Clara. We're going to be at an event.
It's a pop-up.
It's a pop-up. There will be food. There will be jewelry. There will be makeup.
Lots of good
Yes.
local vendors.
Yes.
Come and support. We will have music, food, wine.
Yes.
And I heard that there's going to be, what is it called? Cousins Lobster.
Lobster balls.
So lobster rolls.
Yes. So, why sit in traffic when you can come and have some fun?
And support us. Gloria will be offering her mineral makeups.
Yes.
And I will be fundraising with my homemade body
Yes.
scrubs and earrings, and they all go towards the families of the UCF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland.
Excellent. So, we want you to know that we're grateful that you spend this time with us. We feel the love that you share with us. We send it back to you, bubbling over.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much. And you can hit the thumb icon. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell notification. And remember to
always keep smiling. Bye.
take care.